Okay, it's recording. This week, we're going to focus on confidence and building like that skill of being able to overcome adversity and overcome negative comments from people or the perception of negative comments. I posted something in the Mind, Body, Soul group. Some of you who saw it? Raise your hand because I know some of you saw it. And if you didn't, that's okay because I was going to show it because it's a good one. And then I'm going to read a couple things like that were just powerful. And then we'll talk about like how things are going with you guys and then some other things. So I'm going to share my screen. It's totally fine that you didn't see it because I posted it like today. I always forget to go to share. Okay. Share. There we go. All right. Here we are. All right. There's something about the way he presents things too that is powerful.
The country's president of the United States, presidents of the largest companies in the world, billionaire entrepreneurs. So the one thing they all have in common, I think, is they're hungry. And I know that sounds simplistic, but I believe that's the single most important element that separates the quality of people's lives. It's not just the ability to have hunger, but to sustain it. Hunger means that you want more. You want more of yourself. You want to make a bigger difference. You want to be a better parent. You want to do something more than there is today, and that you don't get satisfied. Most people start out with hunger at an early stage of life and they lose it. But the people that come to me are hungry either because something's happened, they've had a birthday with a zero on it, they've gone through a divorce, they're starting a business and they know I've got to have a different level, or they're the best in the world and they're always looking for that edge that makes a difference.
What keeps you hungry?
I am hungry. I think what it is I think everybody is born with hunger. Like there's a desire to grow, to expand, to learn, and then disappointment sets in early in life for most people. And then we look to blame something outside of ourselves. And there are many events in our life that can affect us all. We've all had pain and challenges. But I think if you can find within yourself the part of you that wants to constantly give something more than yourself, if you can find a mission larger than yourself, then you're more pulled to do something than trying to push yourself. And pull has much more power than push. Most people, if they really look at how they're living their life today, it's based on a set of standards, a set of beliefs that they made choices about 10, 20, 30 or more years ago. I mean, very often we made decisions in our youth or very young about what to believe, about what we were capable of, about who we are as a person, and that becomes the glass ceiling, if you will, that controls us. There's a corny metaphor, but it's true. I remember one time I was with my family at the circus, and there was a person there, and they had this big, giant elephant. And you look at this elephant, and they take this little rope, put it around the elephant's neck, and they drop a stake into the ground. And I mean, you look at this, and you know that elephant could rip down the entire tent with almost no effort. And yet, the elephant doesn't struggle, doesn't try. Why? Because the elephant's conditioned. And they take that elephant, condition the elephant when it's a baby elephant. That's how they train him. When it's a little baby elephant and it doesn't have the power yet, they put a big rope around it and they drive this huge stake in the ground, and the elephant fights and fights and fights. And one day, finally, that elephant decides, I'm not capable of pulling this out. And once that becomes the definition of an identity of anyone, an elephant in this case, they don't even try anymore. It's just who I am, that's how it is, that's just the way it is in my life. I'd like to ask you to take a look at any place you've got a limitation and ask yourself, when did I decide to accept that limitation? And you may not even see it as a limitation. You might see it as just, that's who I am. But so often in our lives, we've adapted to be a certain way so that we don't fail or so that people will like us or respect us, but it's not necessarily who we are. Joy comes when you're spontaneous. It's really hard to be truly happy when you're not being yourself. And most of us have no clue who we are. And so a big part of my work, if you've ever been to an event, you know, is to get people to do things spontaneously without thinking, because that's when the real you shows up. That's when the energy comes alive. And when you do that, when you start to connect to your true nature, suddenly there's energy available for you to set a higher standard for what you want in your life. That's what this is really all about.
Many of us are not able to move forward and develop and manifest our greatness because we spend so much time looking back or worrying about the future. Seize the moment. See, you cannot go into the future and manifest your greatness when you have various things in your life that's blocking you. Let's look at how we can begin to keep our commitments. Remembering what Dr. Robert Anthony said about results. when you keep your commitments, you're able to produce some different kinds of results in your life. So how can we keep our commitments? And do we keep all commitments? No, we don't. You will not be at 100%. However, you will have a greater percentage rate of maintaining your commitments to yourself, whatever those things might be. If it's going into business, if it's changing a habit that you know that works against you, if it's overcoming self-destructive behavior, if it's retraining your thinking, if it's reinventing yourself, if it's trying to begin to design your relationship differently, all of us have the possibility, by focusing and really harnessing our attention and concentrating on it, we really have available to us the power to honor our commitments in those particular areas. So number one, make it priority. See, no one would go get on an airplane if you thought your chances of getting there to your destination were as good as your luggage. See, and I say the reason that you will reach your destination more times than your luggage will is because the airline, and I'm glad that they do, has made it a priority to move the human beings from one point to the other safely. Not send you off to Boston or someplace with your luggage. So I'm not really upset when my luggage doesn't show up. I'm glad they delivered me because they've made me a priority. See, they have made delivering you to your destination important. So if you want to honor your commitment, whatever you decide that you're going to do, make sure you make it important. Make sure it is priority. Keep it before you.
Now let's talk about the fundamentals of life. Let me give you this little series to jot down. Number one, fundamentals of life. Number one, there's just a few. There's just a few fundamentals of life. About a half a dozen. Fundamentals of life, there's just a few. Here's number two. Once you know them, you know them. There's nothing difficult. It's pretty easy to figure out why people are broke. And it's pretty easy to figure out how people get rich. It's no big deal. Fundamentals of life. Number one, there's just a few. Number two, once you know them, you know them. Now here's number three. There's no new ones. Written history's what? About 6,000 years. There's nothing new here. Now there might be a new way to say it. There might be a new way to apply it to the 20th century, getting ready for century 21. But this stuff is basic. It's old. It's fundamental. So be aware of somebody who comes along and says, we got new truth. Say, no, you can't have new truth. Truth is old. So be a little suspicious. A guy says, we're manufacturing antiques. You got to come watch our plant. Wouldn't you be a little suspicious? You say, no, you can't manufacture antiques. Antiques are what? Old. So antiques are like truth. Truth is old. Now, just because you've discovered it is no sign it's new. Say, no, truth is old. The fundamentals go way back. The fundamentals of sowing and reaping go way back. The fundamentals, good, evil, go way back. I mean, there's nothing new here. All we need to do, though, is to just bring our intellectual discovery process to bear and see if we can't find those few things. Then the rest of it is to get busy practicing those few things.
Okay, so let's talk about takeaway first about that. Just I thought it was really powerful, and always, you know, when you hear those type of things set to music, it can be inspiring and things like that. But one big takeaway for me was the elephant that has been trained to not pull the stake out, and just how powerful that elephant is, but the elephant didn't believe it. And that's a good metaphor for all of us. And the power that resides in each of us is pretty substantial. And we're just scraping the surface. And I think it's important to recognize the absolute infinite possibility there is within all of us. And you guys have identified some things you'd like to have happen in the next year, and that's awesome. But really, and we kind of talked about in the first week, but really having that core belief that you have it in you already. So that was a big thing for me, and it gave me chills when I listened to that. And Tony Robbins has that really powerful voice, you know, that he's just so inspiring to listen to. But that metaphor was huge for me. So anyone else have any other takeaways? If it's the same thing, that's fine too. Something that you can apply to your life that has to do with maybe the limitations you place on yourself.
I thought the other little metaphor the guy said about the airplane and the luggage, I thought that was really interesting. And I'd heard the elephant one before, and I really like it, but that was a new one for me. Like, oh yeah, that's why we don't, who cares if they get your luggage there? Like, I know you care, but really that's not their priority. So
Not their priority, and what their priority is, they make happen. You know what I mean? They make it happen. And so it's the same with us. If we make what our goal is, or what we're, working toward, a priority, there's no reason why we can't make it happen. There's nothing that can hold you back. Obviously, it takes work. It's not like it's going to be handed to you. Each of the things that you guys identified are things that are going to take some time and effort, but if it's a priority and that deeper why is present within you, and you keep it at the forefront of your mind, remind yourself of it, you're going to be motivated to do it. So that was the other one. I really like that too. So, so I have a little, okay, so Tony Robbins, he's like my favorite, but a little snippet in one of my books I wanted to read to you guys too. And it has to do with how you look at circumstances a little bit differently, or how two different people look at the same circumstances differently. Two men are shot down in Vietnam and imprisoned in the infamous, I don't even know how to say this, prison. They are isolated, chained to cement slabs, and continuously beaten with rusty shackles and tortured for information. Yet, although these men are receiving the same abuse, they form radically different beliefs about their experience. One man decides that his life is over, and in order to avoid any additional pain, commits suicide. The other pulls from these brutalizing events a deeper belief in himself, his fellow man, and his creator than he's ever had before. Captain Gerald Coffey uses his experience of this to remind people all over the world of the power of the human spirit to overcome virtually any level of pain, challenge, or any problem. So it's kind of like anytime we come to a circumstance, we really do have a choice of which way we're going to go with how we choose to put a belief system to it. Because that's essentially what happens with experiences. There's lots of people that have gone through horrific challenges in life, and there's lots of responses to it based on, there's a lot of reasons why. There's no, recipe for the perfect reaction, but it does show you that there are so many different possibilities of how we choose to react to different circumstances, and understanding that we do put meaning to events. And that's how we develop belief systems. And that kind of goes with, I still think about Kaylee's story that she told about when she was younger, and the belief system she had about her body and things that were told to her, and that how that stuck with her. And that's a sort of a things that get ingrained in you. And she is now in the process of unlearning it so that she doesn't pass it on to her future children, and so that's a perfect example of she's working at unlearning it, because we all have learned things, good and bad. We all have good things we've learned and have become belief systems in us, but also things that haven't served us so well. And so it's really important to kind of know what those are, and that recognizing we have the power within us to make the decision, to make a different kind of reaction to that. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about kind of where you're at with your mindset. I just want to do a quick touch base before we go into a little bit of content, and then we'll touch base again. How you're doing. I know last week, pretty much all of you were working on increasing personal development, which is great. Just kind of want to see where you're at mentality-wise with what you're focusing your energy on. Are you feeling good? Are you feeling energized? Are you feeling, where you at? So anyone can pipe in about this.
Okay, I'll go first.
Awesome. Okay. It's always hard to be the first one, but.
Right. It was the same whenever I present. It's like, come on, just one person. last week was actually it was a really good week. So I did have a situation towards the end of the week with work, which normally would have like just really set me off and put me not in a good mind frame and would have carried over to the weekend and all of those things. And it's like, you know what? Their opinion is not mine. So, and it's taken a lot of time to get there, to get to this point. And because I've always been that person that wants to make sure everyone likes her. And it wasn't anything personal, but I normally would take it personal. So, so that was a good thing. That definitely, I took Friday off, which is weird being at home to take a vacation day and not go anywhere. But I did. I took the day off. It was really, really nice outside. Spent most of the day, if I wasn't out like walking, I did my workout. I spent most of my day on the balcony, reading. And I can't tell you the last time I did that, but it was just like it got to the end of the day and I went to go to bed and it's like, that is exactly what I needed, to just unplug and leave everything behind and just move forward, or just be able to enjoy that time. Normally it's like, I should be doing, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. And it wasn't one of those things. It's like, this is what I need right now, and this is what I'm going to do.
Did you read for fun? Like a fun book, or what kind of book did you read?
Well, it's a little bit of both, because I'm almost done with Girl Stop Apologizing, and I really like Rachel Hollis, so it's like fun, but it's all of it all rolled into one for me. Yeah. So I also have started reading Fiber Fueled, and so I read a little bit of that over the weekend. I was trying not to mix too much. So
that's awesome. You listened to what you needed. It felt good. And sometimes doing those things kind of build your confidence too. You just feel good about life. Like, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling strong. I made the right choice. I needed this. Kind of fills your cups. That's awesome. One thing with like the wanting everyone to like you thing, because I think we all suffer from it to a degree as well. I think we all know not everyone likes us in life, and it's just not physically possible. But I read this in one of my books. It's like, okay, so let's say you like something like chocolate. Okay, great. Many of us like chocolate, but there are people out there that don't like chocolate, right? Like
No way.
Someone knows what I'm going to say? I did not like chocolate as a kid. I actually hated it. I only like, when it came to candy, I like Starbucks. I like Starbucks now. Starburst, Skittles, like the fruity stuff. I like chocolate now occasionally. It's not like my favorite. But a lot of people like chocolate. Some people hate chocolate. Does that mean that chocolate is bad? Absolutely not. Just because you're not someone's taste or flavor does not mean that who you are is, or what you're presenting is not something worthwhile. And so that's important to recognize when it comes to like pleasing people, you know what I mean? Because I think I have that. I work on it every day. It's just like the people pleaser person. But at the same time, it doesn't mean you can't please. I mean, you just can't please everyone. There's not one thing in the world that makes every single person in this world happy. And we are also part of that. We can't, you know what I mean? But that chocolate metaphor kind of made sense to me. I was like, oh yeah. Doesn't mean chocolate's bad. No, it's just not my flavor. You know, it's not my, it's not my taste buds. So I don't know. Hard thing to like work through, but it's worth it because it's freeing when you stop caring about all that. And this weekend, another funny story about that is there is one piece of me that I really don't care about is honestly, I don't care a whole heck a lot about my looks, which is funny because I'm in the health and fitness industry and I do care about my health. But it's not that I don't have any pride and like walk out like a bum, but this weekend, like I had my hair tied back to the side. It looked kind of cute in the morning. And then by the end of the day, we were at a baseball tournament. It was hot. It didn't look great. And Ava was like, what is going on with your hair? I was like, honestly, I really don't care, Ava. And I was being honest, like, I don't care. I'm watching a baseball game. I could care zero craps what anyone thinks about me in that respect. And then other arenas, when it has to do with what I'm providing, that I do have that part of me that cares a lot more. So I was thinking about that. And I was like, oh, wow, that's one part that I really don't care about, which is, I guess, good. But, you know, sometimes I wish I did care a little bit more. But so anyway, anyone else touching base about where you're at with your goal and personal development and where you're at with your goals and the things you were setting up for yourself? Christy, how about you? You look super tan today. Were you out in the sun a lot this weekend?
It was Friday. I got sunburned.
You're really dark.
Maybe it's the lighting. I don't know. I did sit out for a little bit today. I need to get my crap together because
well, we have a school starting, and that's, you know, the reality.
Yeah, I have in a week, so I'm back to work in a week. Yeah. So I think that because I hit Success Club already, I'm kind of coasting.
Oh, make your goal higher. Make it higher.
I know. Well, I said I'm going for 10.
Go for 20. Go for 20.
Well, I was going to get Jason there too, but anyway, so that's, I think I just have been kind of like, meh. And I think I'm letting other personal things like get in the way.
Yeah.
And I get off track. So I need to just
focus. You got to give yourself a little grace. I mean, school, it's no joke. It's not getting ready for what we have ahead of us is crazy. I'm a week behind you. We don't start till the 31st. So about next week, I'm really going to be diving in. We've started to tiptoe in this week. So you got to give yourself a little grace. And then also sometimes you kind of have to recalibrate yourself like, okay, I've got a new reality happening right now where life's not the same as it is in the summer. You're not going to be able to do the same things. You kind of have to reevaluate how am I going to make this work? So that might be something that you kind of challenge yourself with this week is with this new coming back to work. It's a little bit different than when we were in school last year before quarantine. And with your new mindset, with your business, you've built a lot of confidence in the last 2 month or so. And what's it going to look like? So you might want to take some self-reflection time and then put it into action. And don't be hard on yourself when like you are busy with school. Like I think you have to be realistic too, but still set high goals. You're not going to reach those high goals half the time. That doesn't matter. It's just knowing that it's possible. So, so maybe that's your kind of focus this week is looking at what's going to look differently, you know, keeping the ball rolling.
Right. Figuring out those pockets of work time.
Yeah. That feels good for you. That feels like you're still kind of fulfilling your why and your purpose behind everything. How's your personal development?
Today that video was good.
Yeah.
That helped. I think my problem is I have too many books that I've started.
Yeah. You got to pick one.
So I feel like I'm sitting with 3 right now, all great books, but it's like, just focus on one. Just get through one.
Yeah. Just pick one of them and do it. Yeah. I know. I'm the same way. I usually have a bunch at the same time, but maybe just pick one. It will help maybe focus your energy on one area of your life too, you know? So, all right, Stephanie, how about you? Where is your head at? Where's your mind space at?
It's kind of all over there.
Okay.
Last week was good, but it felt good. Like I went away this weekend with a couple friends, like another couple, and we just got away and had just
great.
Did nothing. So that was really good. It was good for my mindset. I haven't done a whole lot this week. I did start on my little brain dump, but I haven't really had time to sit and like really do it. So I've like jotted things down. I kind of leave it around so I can jot a couple things down here and there. So so at least I feel like I'm at least moving forward and not backward.
Absolutely.
With that.
Yep.
Something that I'm listening to that book Untamed by Glennon Doyle, which Christy, it is really good. Now I'm like far enough into it to tell you. And this morning she said something that I thought was really interesting. So I'm always trying to get into like meditate, like a few minutes a day or whatever. And she talks about how one day she just decided, like after she dropped her kids off at school, she just went into her closet and sat there for 10 minutes. And she was like, and my mind was all over the place. I'm reorganizing this, I'm planning this. She goes, but eventually it just started to like fall into, like you got there, and I'm like, well, maybe that's like I need to like change how I'm trying to do the meditation, because I'm always like doing these guided meditations, like think about being grateful and all that. But I saw that really like kind of resonated with me this morning. Like maybe that's what I need to do, is find time to just sit and like maybe have some like kind of music playing or something and not think about anything, and then after a while see what comes in.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what would help me like figure out the real path.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was my little epiphany today.
That's a good epiphany. That's a good epiphany. So you'll have to keep us posted how it goes. Stick with it though. Like, don't do it for a day or two and let it fall off. And
I
maybe
need to put together, I need to like do a better structure in the mornings. Like I leave so early to go like work out and the things that I do, that it's like I want to still get sleep too. So I have to figure out the right schedule that works.
I know it's tough. It makes it tough. So you just kind of have to figure out what works for you. But I think that's great. And maybe just keep working on that brain dump. And maybe that's part of it. I mean, this is part of your brain dump and some epiphanies that maybe you still need to kind of let your mind unravel with some things. Like, I feel like you have a great idea. You have some thoughts about it. Something's holding you back from really, you're moving the needle. Don't get me wrong, but really like plowing forward, something's holding you back. So I'm curious what kind of, maybe after you have those meditations, take some notes, like what were some things that came out. I hear that some people will kind of just like jot down the things, even if they're thoughts that need to go away, just to get them out of your mind. You know when you're sitting and you're like just trying to relax, and all of a sudden you're thinking about 17 things you need to do today. Like, write them down, get them out of your brain so they're down, and you can visit it later. But I'm wondering about your epiphanies, so maybe jot down those. Be curious to see, what comes of it. So meditation is really necessary. That's what you did this week too, Christy. Okay, awesome. Beachbody is coming out with a meditation series, by the way.
I saw that. It's very
exciting. I am interested in that, so we'll see. Well, good. I think that's good movement, though, Steph. I mean, we're not looking at like, this is like we've talked about before. We're just living our lives. We're trying to make the best of it. You had a good week just because you've just moved the needle a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. You had an epiphany. You had a great weekend with friends. Nothing wrong with that. You've been sticking to your workout routine. Sounds like you've been working on that a little bit. So that's a good week. I know in the past you've been pretty hard on yourself, like, I just don't follow through, or like, whatever, I need to just have accountability. You're doing it. You're so hard on yourself, So, oh, look at that water bottle. I love it. Has it helped you drink a lot of water? Look at that. That's pretty good.
It did last week. The weekend is like, I take it up north and I don't even know why I bother, because it's impossible to do it. But all week last week I did, but then I was really disappointed that I worked out really hard and I like drank like this much water every day, and then I didn't move the needle anywhere that way. So I'm still working on that. It's frustrating.
Doing all the things, I think it's just hard at this age as we get. I hate to say the ages we're at.
Wait till you hit 50.
All right, Kaylee, you're still young. You've got time.
Yeah.
I'm already there. I'm screwed.
Ever since I turned 40, like weight loss is like, I have to do things perfect. So don't say that 40 was rough. You just have to be patient. You do the things right, eventually it's going to happen. It just doesn't go as fast as when you're 30 and 20 and all that. So
I told Christy it was 25 for me.
25. You're crazy.
I got my first gray hair. I got everything. 25.
25 was your year. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, when I turned 40, I swear, like all weird little things. Like that's when I started having that the thing with my elbow. I have tinnitus in my ear, like weird, silly things that aren't like life threatening. You know, little aches that will happen for 2 days and then they go away. I don't know if any of you guys have those things and you're like, what the heck was that? Maybe I should call a doctor. Then all of a sudden it's gone. And I'm like, oh, I think this is what like just getting older is.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. All right, Kaylee or Nicole, do you have any epiphanies or anything to share about this week? Where's your mindset at?
My week was really hard last week. I was really tired for whatever reason. I think I was trying to do too many things at once. And so mentally I just, I don't know, lost it. I just slept all the time. So my morning routine did not happen, but I did wake up half hour earlier today than I normally do. So I figured that's a start.
Yeah.
But like Christy, I have too many books and I have a lot of calls. I've signed myself up for a lot of calls. So then I'm like, where's the week? Like yesterday, I'm like, how is it Sunday? I haven't done any of my stuff I had planned to do because I get so tired and then I don't have a set schedule, I guess. And with my job, it's hard because I get off, some days I get off earlier, some days I get off later. So it's not always predictable, but I decided that I'm going to do my personal development and my Bible study in one book. That will help me so that I don't have, like Christy was saying, a million books to read. And even yesterday, I found myself telling myself, like, just do one thing at a time. Because I would start something. I have, like, cleaning ADD is what I call it. Because I'll start cleaning, and then I'm like, oh, while I'm doing this, I should start a little laundry. Because if I'm going to be doing the dishes, the laundry might as well be going. And then I go do the laundry, and then I start the laundry, and then I'm like, oh, my bathroom needs clean. And then I start cleaning my bathroom, and then I'm like, oh, I bet the laundry's done. It's terrible. So I had to slow down and tell myself, like, one thing at a time. Like, just do one thing at a time and do what you can do in the day. Because also I'm the perfectionist and I like things to be perfect, like we talked about last week. So I'm like, I have this whole list of things I want to get done, and then if I don't get it done, then I feel bad. So then I'm like, okay, it's okay to just live your life and relax sometimes too, without having your complete list done all the time. That's where I'm bad. So I'm trying to find the balance of being okay with not getting everything I want done.
Maybe
And
you
also,
cleared up your list a little bit so that you feel
Yeah.
you can put more of your heart into one thing, you know what I mean? So that you're not just checking it off the to-do list. It's more of like meaningful.
And I think I need to designate like a day to do each thing maybe, because like with coaching, I've bought a lot of trainings. Like I bought Ashley Shaw's training. Well, one training is 2 hours long. And so I'm sitting there and then I'm like,
then you don't have time
okay,
to do
well,
things.
right. So I'm like, if I just designate like pockets of time or one day for each thing, then it should be better, hopefully.
You might just need to really play with your schedule a little bit and be intentional about what you do with your time. And maybe sift out some of the things that, you know, you didn't spend money on to,
right.
You know, that aren't necessary, even with cleaning stuff. You know, figuring out days that you maybe just do one day on laundry. And I
was trying to figure out what's most important to me. So I'm like, okay, my most important things for me are like a devotional each day and my workout each day and reading. Like I really need that piece. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the top 3 things that I need to do, and then everything else can just kind of happen after I do those 3 things.
100%. That's perfect. And that same had like similar to what Stephanie pointed out, was like when you have from that video, when you know, intentionally focus on something, you're going to make it happen. It's a priority. You're going to make it happen, you know, and those are important to you. That's going to move the needle forward in the direction you want to feel in your, you know, in your life. So that's good. So it sounds like you just need to kind of sit down with your schedule, sift out some things. And you also have kind of one of those schedules that's not the same every day. So that can be tricky, you know.
And I think last week I was proud of myself for listening to myself, like to my body, because I was so tired that I was like, I can't get up early this week. I just can't. Like I'm exhausted. I need to sleep. So I would go to bed at like 8 and would wake up at 7. Like I'm tired. I just need it. And I had a really bad headache. So I think that was a problem too. We have really bad fires here in Colorado right now, so I don't know if the smoke was contributing to those or if I just needed rest or hydration or all of the above. So
Yeah.
that was my focus.
100%. Well, sleep is part of health. So it's a big
Right.
piece of it. And I think with like Autumn's new program, she's going to be focusing on sleep as one of the things that you are required to do. You know, it's the same with like water. And I know, isn't that funny? Because you know what? We all probably don't sleep enough. Since the quarantine started, like I've been sleeping so much more. And before, you know, like I noticed a big difference. Like cravings are down, grumpiness is down, obviously, like not needing the nap. But, you know, there's a reason for it. Our bodies need it. You know, you have to listen to your body. So that's good. All right, Nicole, how about you? Where's your mindset at? I saw you did some cool stones this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's what I was working on outside of a little bit ago.
That's awesome.
I found a new stone kit and a book at Michael's
Cool.
over the weekend, and I'm going back to get it to figure out some more details and how to do that.
Sweet.
So that was nice. Yeah.
Our kids colored stones this summer, and when we on our vacation, you can go hide them in
Yes.
Penn. You guys go to Penn, you hide them and people find them. It's kind of fun little thing
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So anyway, what were you saying?
The last, I don't know, almost 2 weeks, I've been just focusing on my 5 things, and then like by noon, I'm like, well, what do I do now? Because I used to do all the other stuff first, and then it got to be 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I didn't have time for what I really wanted to do or what mattered. So now I'm doing what matters. And like today, I had everything done before about 9:30, including the workout and the Shakeology. And on the way to work, I just felt happy and light. I was like, hey, maybe this is a breakthrough.
That's awesome. That's a really good breakthrough. I mean, you guys have heard of the metaphor when you put the stones in the thing and then the little pebbles will fit in if you put the big stones in first as opposed to the little pebbles first and then you can't fit the big things in. So same thing, you did the big things first.
And I thought, wow, maybe I was doing this backwards all along.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. That's a great epiphany.
Yeah, it felt great.
Good.
Even after we chased the kid that ran away today, I was still in a great mood.
Oh my God. Is it okay?
Yeah, just was upset and ran out of the building.
Gotcha. Like,
but I was like, part of the project, you know, all in a day's work and just moved along.
Oh my gosh. What workout are you doing?
The bar A.
Oh, good. That's probably
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's fun.
Good. Awesome. All right. So it sounds like you guys are all moving forward in a good direction. So let's, I really want this mindset piece to be kind of a focus for you. Get recalibrated. I think a lot of us have some new things going on, recalibrated with what's going on in your life. I think that's a good thing to learn with what Nicole just shared is like those top things that are important to you, make sure they're happening first, or, you know, maybe they're not always first in the day, but it's a non-negotiable in your day. You know what I mean? It's like, it's going to happen no matter what, because you know, it's good for you. It's part of your passion. I also want you to kind of dig deep with your why behind things. We've talked a little bit about it in the first couple of weeks. If you forgot what some of those things were, get back to it and like make it somewhere present in your home, your workspace, whatever, journal, whatever you've got. So make sure that why is present for you so that you are remembering the purpose from what you're doing. And as far as like confidence, I just have a little bit of some tidbits for you, and then we'll kind of go over a few things, and I'll have like a little assignment for you. And then next week, we're going to pull everything together and, you know, kind of create the framework for you to keep moving forward in the direction that you guys are already going in a really nice direction. Is recognizing and maybe getting in tune with some of the things you need to unlearn. As far as thought patterns go, what are some unlearning that you need to do? Maybe start taking some inventory in that. What are some things you've learned in the past, just through growing up, experiences that just kind of became part of who you are that haven't served you well, and identify like what are the things that do serve you well, and recognizing like you are capable of doing that. and get stubborn about it. Like, get stubborn about, I really want to have a good focus on XYZ. I really want to feel good about how I'm treating my body. I really want to feel good about whatever it is, and get stubborn about it and recognize your worth with it. You guys already do recognize it, but sometimes it's just like you have to daily remind yourself, like, I deserve this. I'm fully capable of this. Tap into that a little bit, and recognize that just because old belief patterns have kind of run its course through your life, whether it's I'll never get this, like, for example, for me today, one of my goals, I know this is a really weird goal, but I want to be one of those girls that's really muscular. Like, I feel like I'm making progress, but then earlier today I was like, what if this is just where it's at? I'm cool with that. Like, and then I was like, why am I limiting myself to something that I think would be pretty awesome? Granted, is it the be all end all of my life? Absolutely not. Obviously, my family is the most important thing, and faith and all those things. But really, a really cool thing I want is to, like, have really muscular arms and just whatever. And I had that self-limiting belief where I was like, I don't think it's possible at the age of 42. And I was like, I think I could be okay like this. And then I was like, wait, why am I stopping myself? So that was just something, like, I had a little quick epiphany, like, I'm worth it. If I want to do it, I can do it. If I don't want to do it, I don't have to do it. But it's been something that's been I've wanted for a few years. Ever since 80 Day Obsession came out, I started loving that, whatever. But so that's kind of like the example of that. I had to stop myself in my tracks and, like, no, I'm capable of this. I need to be able to, really believe that. And recognizing when you have that kind of stubborn attitude, like, I can do this, you're building something. You're building a confidence in yourself by proving yourself that you're capable of it. And even when you have those stumbling blocks, like, recognizing there's learning that goes along the way too, that's part of the process. So when things come along the way, when you're like, like Steph, even you were like, I'm okay, so I moved it a little bit. No, it's part of the process. This is the whole process of it all, accepting what life is bringing you, and you're still working through things. And or even Kaylee was like, I needed that sleep. That was part of your process. Like, you needed to go through that because your body, that recognizing how important sleep is, it's super important. Just kind of recognize what maybe I need to recalibrate how I'm going to do this because this XYZ is super important. Or spending time with family and friends is really a big chunk of my life that I need to be able to dedicate time to. So maybe that's going to shift my goal a little bit. Maybe I'm not going to drink that whole 128 ounces when I'm with family and friends. Like Stephanie said, I'm just kidding. So let's see here. What are some other notes? A couple things. Like I said, recognize all of it's normal. Everything's normal. Everything that goes up and down, it's all normal. Don't freak out about it. That's a big thing. Don't freak out. Everything's good. You're capable. Like I was just telling myself earlier, I was like, oh, maybe I've hit my limit. No, don't accept it. You're totally capable of reaching whatever you want to reach. I know, Melissa, you shared some bigger sort of fitness goals that are big, but then when you break it down, you're totally capable of reaching those things. And eventually it's the compound effect. You'll get there, believing it at the core that you're going to get there. And if you ever get adversity come your way, let it fuel you further to get what you want. A really cool saying I heard from, Marie Forleo. I don't know how to say her name. To avoid criticism, this is the way you can avoid criticism, be a people pleaser. Say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. Okay, so that's the best way you're going to be a people pleaser, is to say nothing, be nothing, do nothing, be nothing. Obviously, none of us are those type of people, so we're going to expect the criticism. We're going to expect adversity. We're going to expect bumps in the road. It's just part of the way it is. That's part of growing yourself, is there's going to be those adversities, and we just can do that. So I'm going to have an assignment for you. I'll read it out to you. but I'll type it out in the group too for you. And so I know we haven't done the assignment in the last few weeks because we kind of did a work session in the group, but we're not going to have enough time to get through all this, and I don't want, it's already 9:20. So I'll have you guys do it on your own, and I'll make sure to check in with you. All right, number 1. I want you to think of a time where you really did what we're trying to do, refused to accept maybe a negative self-belief, or refused to accept that you've reached your limit, and you were able to blast through that goal. Think of a time in your whole entire life, and it can be small or large, doesn't matter. I want you to tap into that time because you've done it, and it doesn't mean it has to be like something humongous. It might be something small. So you might have to tap back into, like when you were younger, like I can think back maybe when I was playing basketball, there was a time when, you know, I don't know. Or like I can think of a time when Jason, little 10-year-old Jason, he was in a hitting slump for a couple of weekends where, I mean, he's one of the top hitters on his team, and he just went through a slump. He just couldn't hit anything. And he had a breakthrough and finally was able to, he got a big hit, and then it changed everything. And then he was like, oh, and I had a discussion with him. I said, buddy, this is all in your mind. It's all in your mind. You're physically capable of doing anything. And there's going to be bumps in the road. It's just part of the process. But when he recognized, oh, my mindset, that was the reason. And then once he was like, oh, I can hit this, then he was hitting it again. No problem. So that was a kind of a little epiphany. That's an example. It doesn't have to be something major. So think of that. In your current path with what you're working on, have you already had some road bumps? Just want you to kind of look at what those road bumps have been. How have you handled them? How can you continue to handle them? So that's number 2. Again, I'll type this all out for you. If you don't write it down, that's fine. What are, hold on, I gotta mark down my questions here so I don't lose track of them. What are some of your fears right now moving forward? What are some things that you fear? And I want you to write down, I know we've talked a little bit about fear before already. What are some of the fears of criticism or some of the bumps you're going to have? We're going to continue. I want you to continue working on thinking ahead beforehand, how you might handle it, you know, that type of thing. So, because that's important to recognize when it comes, you're going to be like, oh, I can handle that. That kind of builds that confidence. If you had, number 4, if you had 0 judgment, 0 criticism, 0 worries, what would be 5 things you would do in life? Like, this is kind of off the topic of what you're doing. What are 5 things you would do in life? You know, and no worries about of making a fool of yourself, nothing. What would it be? Okay, so write those things down. And then I want you to kind of, the last thing is, again, connect back to your why. I want to hear your why again. I want to hear what's really your purpose behind what you're doing. So we're going to get back to that. So it's reviewing your notes, digging deep a little bit, maybe some of it's changed a little bit. And then I really want you to find a way that you're reminding yourself of your why on a regular basis. Wherever it is on your phone, like I said, your journal, maybe you've got a planner, if you've got an office, workspace, whatever, you should have some things that inspire you to keep you reminding you of what your goal is. And that's that. So moving forward for this week, we've already kind of talked about some things you can do for this week. Is there anything else that you feel like you need? Maybe there's other things that you feel like you need to work on this week.
Yeah, was it last week we talked about writing about your perfections or what you felt had to be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't write anything because I was afraid it wasn't going to be perfect.
Oh my gosh, Nicole.
I struggled all week about different things to write, and I couldn't think of anything the first couple of days, but after that, boy, it just started flooding.
Oh, good.
Like
So you did write it down?
Well, hell no. I just thought, oh boy, okay, maybe I try to do things the way that I think they're supposed to be done, but maybe I could slack and it would still be okay.
Yeah. Well, you have to think about who's really judging you.
What?
think about when those things come to your head, like who's really judging you?
Myself.
Exactly. It's just you. It's you versus you. Because no one really is judging you. I think we have a perception that people are judging us. And yeah, people are judgy, whatever, on little things, but most of the time it's pretty surface. But we are the judgiest on ourselves, you know? So when you think about it, it's like, I'm just going to judge myself. You're working on that, you know? And so remind yourself that you're your own, you know, judge, really. No one else is judging you. That's tough though. Well, you know, and with any of these things, you guys can go back to old, if there's something that's stumbling you, stick with it, get through whatever you're, you know, if you're stuck on something, get through that first. These videos are going to be in here for a long time, so you can revisit them or the assignments, so don't worry about that. I'm just giving you kind of the foundation for what are the things you guys need to do to keep your focus in the right direction and what you're going to be successful at.
And I wanted to ask the person that was in Colorado. I just caught the last bit of having extra headaches with fires. I wondered if she's wearing masks a lot too, because our staff are getting a lot of headaches with the masks. And I rarely got headaches in my life, and I've had more headaches in the last, I don't know what, 6 or 7 weeks than I've ever had in my life. So I was
You think
starting
it's
to wonder.
mask related, Kaylee?
It could be. I mean, I'm a nurse, so I have to wear it all day, every day.
Okay.
So that could be it.
Yeah, and I'm wearing mine about 8 to 10 hours a day too. So I don't know. It was just a thought.
Absolutely. I mean, I've read some things on mask wearing, and who knows what's, I mean, this is the first time our society's had to go through this, you know?
Okay.
I know, right? I just got my kids start school tomorrow. I got all our masks out, and I'm like, we have to make sure these are cleaned on a regular, because you can get sick, you know, if you're wearing a dirty mask. So I don't know. Anyway, because at the kids' school, they have to wear a certain color mask. They can't just wear funky ones or grab a, yeah, well, it's Catholic school.
Oh.
They wear the plaid skirts and the polo shirts with the emblem.
Yeah.
And they have to wear certain shoes, certain socks, and their masks have to be black, Spartan green, or navy blue. So with nothing on them, pretty boring, but yeah. So it's a different world. Shoes, yeah. Well, they can wear, like, they have to wear all black shoes or all navy shoes. So I get them like usually tennis shoes, but they have to be black on the sole, black everywhere. You know, I don't know why, but that's the rules. So anyway. Yeah, so I don't know. That's a really good point, Nicole, about the headaches. So, who knows?
Just a thought.
Yep. So anyway, all right, ladies, I'll let you guys go. Thanks for hopping on. Take care of yourselves. Next week's our last week. I'm going to pull together all the content. I'm going to kind of create a roadmap of things you can do moving forward to keep you focused on the right direction. Obviously, a theme that's been important for all of you is personal development, kind of get into the basics. What are the most important things you need to do in a day? Don't be, you know, doing 500 things. Even though the 500 things are important, figure out what's most important in your day. Designate a time for the other things. You know, sometimes you have to, for me, if I write it down, it helps me. Like, I will do this particular activity on this time. And then it doesn't crowd my brain out, you know? So, but otherwise, I think you guys are all doing fabulous. So anyway, well, thanks for hopping on, girls. And I'll catch you in the group. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.